NaKani Hula actually translates into the sounds of hula. The sound of the instrument is very important.
Ai kahua ka ialili uo kalani. Imalama oe.
I started growing ipu probably in the early 90s, about 1990, 92 around. And then I took over Happy Hula Supply. He sold me the business in 1994. And of course he said, you know, it's very hard work. I don't think a girl can do, you know, work hard. But then I told him, oh, you know, I'm a farmer, so I know all about hard work. and so then he eventually changed his mind, and he's the one that taught me how to make the uli uli. This part of the uli uli is called a la'amia, and this is actually a introduced plant. The original Hawaiian uli uli were made out of coconut or gourds. And you can hear the rattle in here. What's inside are these Hawaiian seeds. The English name is the kana seed, but the Hawaiian name is ali'ipoi. So the important part about this is just to make it as tight as possible. Actually, the traditional uli uli were just made with the coconut bottom, the rattle, and then just the lauhala or ie, some kind of plant fiber for the handle, and there weren't any feathers. So the la'amia are finished with a varathane lacquer, I guess. Sometimes we get requests for just plain oil. So this is what the la'amia starts out with, and then we shine it up. Yeah, it's the inside that is what's going to change the sound. The cleaner the inside is, the better the sound's going to be. When you're looking for an uli uli, the first thing that you'll notice are the feathers, how full they are, and sometimes you'll see them. There's two styles, either feathers facing up and also feathers facing down. Or sometimes you see the more older style with feathers only facing down. And then also when you're looking for a nice pair of uli uli, you kind of look for the handle to see that the rattan is all nice and even, and that there are no spaces or they're not lumped up together. Because when you're using them, if it's like that, lumped up, your hands will get blisters. So earlier I was telling you about the traditional uli uli without the feathers, and so it would be made with just the coconut, and these have stones or small shells in them. And then this is lauhala. And this here is coconut senet. Aha. You can hear there's a different sound. But this is the traditional uli uli. The most important thing about choosing an uli uli is the sound. So if the dancer is choosing their own uli uli, of course they're going to listen to what the sound is like. So when we put them together, we kind of put the seeds in, and then we shake each one to kind of make sure that it sounds nice.
Imalama oe.
With the pu'ili, it was a lot of trial and error, you know, how to make them, and when to harvest. You know, all these things are, we're still learning how to keep them from cracking, you know. So it's still a learning, a learning thing.
This is called pu'ili. It's a slitted bamboo. It's like a rattle, I guess. And how I make them now is basically find the right length of bamboo and the right maturity. To where if it's too young, let's start with the bamboo being too young. It will, if you harvest it too young, it will implode on you. It won't hold its shape. it will shrivel up basically. And if you get the bamboo, it's too mature, sometimes it gets a little more brittle and more cracking can occur. Once you harvest the bamboo, we cut it, dry it up, and cut it up into 20-inch lengths. Then we sand all this down, take off the outer skin, smoothing out the node right here. So when I cut it, I make sure the node's on the bottom. That's the handle. And then I have a saw, and we cut the slits in here. But usually when I cut it, I don't cut it all the way through. I just cut it to about here. And then after that, we paint them, basically give it a clear varnish. So after we cut the slits in it, I gotta thin out the teeth here. So I usually run with my ancient Hawaiian tool here. But anyway, well, basically the reason I'm kind of tapering down the bamboo, so on the end, when you're tapping them, you have a lighter, crispier sound versus having the whole thick length of bamboo. It just sounds better, lighter sounding. Just by doing this, you can see this. This is the untouched, thin, tapered out bamboo, and this is so this sounds better already.
To do this kind of work, I think it helps a lot that you have some kind of hula background. It's not necessary because the most important thing is to have a quality product, and of course the sound is the most important. Okay, so to make the ipu heke, we start off with these two gourds. So the bottom gourd, the larger gourd, is called the olo. This is the bottom. And this top gourd is called a heke. So there are two different gourds that are cut and we glue them together. So of course the first thing we do is wash the outsides. So these days we just put them in a tub of water and use a pot scrubber and clean all this out, clean it all off. Then we cut them open and clean the insides, and it's the same with the uli. The cleaner that the inside is, the better the sound's going to be. Each one is going to sound different depending on the shape and how thick the skin is. So it's pretty much, you can't really tune it too much. You can get the sound to come out better by cleaning the inside, but each one is going to have their own sound. These days, the ipu heke are made by different types of glues, but in the old days, the two ipu were sewn together. So the holes were drilled here and holes were drilled here, and then cordage was used and they were sewn together. And then sap, perhaps the ulu sap, was used to fill in the holes. Because if any extra opening in the ipu heke is going to change the sound. So you want to fill up all the gaps. We're lucky to have electric drills these days, to drill the holes in the la'amia. But before they even made an instrument, they had to make their tools. So this here is called a nauwili, which is it's a drill, pump drill. So to drill their holes, they would just this and drill the hole. So the tips were made with either a sharp stone or shells, and of course they dull really quickly, so you'd probably have to change this a few times before your project is finished. We've been doing it for almost 16 years now, and it's just a challenge, and it's just we both love working with our hands and crafting things, and so that's what keeps us going. And of course we have the best customers. The hula dancers are just they're so appreciative, and it's especially so when we do the workshops. They see what goes into making an instrument, and they really appreciate that. So that's what keeps us going. Hei noa no iakai ko pali o pele.